So there's been a renewed interest in the National Rifle Association this spring, since the activists were saying to boycott it, and I guess by that they mean boycott being members, because they really don't sell the guns themselves. They sell t-shirts and such. I'm sure that's not what they meant, or maybe they don't realize that they don't actually sell anything. What they mostly do is the legislation. They're forever fighting lawsuits against all these anti-gun organizations, all these anti-gun people, and all the laws, and keeping in touch like with candidates and such that are pro-Second Amendment. And so anyway, there was a surge in memberships, maybe more than ever in such a short time, and people upgraded theirs, and if they had it before and it lapsed, they renewed it, and other people that never had thought of signing up for it did. And so in addition to that, around the time when they announced that the convention was taking place, when they announced like some of the events and the speakers and such, like during the first week for the forum where the candidates and people speak, like one of the main events there for the forum, most of the seats were sold out. Like there's 4 levels, the first 3 levels were sold out, and then the balcony still had like the cheap seats up there. And it was probably partly because of that renewed interest and new interest in the NRA, and also partly because many thought that Trump would speak there, because this would have been his 4th time speaking, and because it's a big event like that, and so it was probably more likely that he would than that he wouldn't. And so that's the reason that some people decided to get theirs early, and probably either go either way or else just like have it just in case. Because funnily enough, the forum tickets are some of the cheapest ones there, even though it's the most interesting event. They have other kind of like fundraisers or just like anything like lunches and such. Some of that it costs $100 and up, but these start at around $12. And anyway, so as time went on, though, we weren't sure if he was gonna come back, partly because of the whole the NRA thing, the whole the controversy, and then maybe it was 4D chess or whatever, but those comments about the take the guns first and that due process later. And I think he took the fall with that because the NRA was upset at him, some of the base, and it didn't appease any of the liberals who they thought that now that they see blood, they're going to keep on pushing more. And so when it came down to what do they really want, a lot of them do want to repeal the second, and they're honest about it. And so anyway, after that, he wasn't announced, so it seemed as though he wasn't coming back. And then then last week they announced, or a couple weeks ago, they announced that Mike Pence was going to headline the event. So it was one of those things where it seemed like they were sending him instead, and that was fine. And and so the 3 weeks ago, when they were adding on some more speakers, but still not Trump, and people were asking on their social media about if he'd come back, and usually they answer the questions people ask. They ask stuff like, oh, can I carry such and such gun in there, and can I do this and that? And they usually answer that. They have this moderator and such, but they didn't answer that particular question. Some reason they never answered it. And I wanted to see him again too. There's nothing like really a kind of a rally setting where he comes out to speak. And then so it was like the people, and thought, well, just in case, we'll get one of these balcony tickets, and then see what happens with that. See who all gets chosen to speak. And then the last week, couple weeks ago, when I said Mike Pence would be, so that was pretty much that if that was the main speaker, then he wasn't going to come back. And thought maybe he was just too busy. There's all this stuff going on, well, always is, just like he got too busy to do all the rallies that he wanted to do, one every couple of weeks. and those are a good thing, I think, for everyone. And so then I was gonna tell them this week, yesterday, I was gonna tell them that they could just keep the ticket as a donation and then just cancel it so that somebody else could go, and so the ticket's not refundable. And then because I mean, all those speakers are good, but it's just not the same, not really worth going to, I mean, as much, I didn't think, this time. And then so during the weekend, that David Hogg, that kid, I haven't heard from him for a while. Apparently he was saying that the convention should be like shut down, and that a lot of the sellers, the businesses that do sell the firearms there, they should be boycotted. And he had petitions and all kinds of stuff, and I guess they had another march that I didn't hear about, but they had that. And then so then the next morning on Monday, Trump, they said there was the article saying that Trump not only like he stands by the NRA, but he's doubling down and he will speak at the convention. So then he'll headline it. And then of course right after that was announced, all the other tickets were sold out right away, anything that was remaining, because everyone was happy that he'd be the main star at it. And then, because like I say, there's nothing quite like when he speaks there. And then especially like they have these giant conventions where they have about 100,000 people just in the same room there, and it's good. It's real exciting. And the rest of the convention, people carry. You can bring open, concealed. You can have knives. You can have your weapons in there. The newspapers were misleading, saying that you can't have them at all in the convention, and they were implying that it was the NRA's doing, when it was the Secret Service's doing. And the NRA wrote that the Secret Service takes over the planning of a place whenever that there is like the president or somebody, whenever there's somebody that they're protecting, they take over it. So the NRA doesn't have any say, even if they wanted people to be able to carry inside the forum. And it's only the forum, which lasts maybe about 5 hours or so. And the rest of the place, there's so much else. People don't go there just for that. Some people don't, and some do. But, I mean, there's a lot of, like they say, acres of firearms, showrooms, and a lot else to do. A lot of fundraisers and all kinds of stuff. Firearm training classes and meetings and voting and just a lot of different events. And so in every single one of those, and concerts and such, every single one you can carry all that, and there's no problem, nothing against it. I mean, I guess within the laws of the area, and it's only that one forum just for those few hours that you can't. And so they try to make it out like it's some hypocrisy, and really, I mean, it has nothing to do with the people or the NRA. It's the Secret Service. And plus, maybe if there weren't constant death threats all the time, there wouldn't need to be that. You know, if people just weren't just constantly like in every show they make, every play they make on the news, and then just like deranged people everywhere and the violent Antifa, maybe if there weren't all that, it wouldn't need to be so cautious. Maybe they wouldn't need metal detectors to go into those places, because when most speakers and most concerts still here, they don't have that. But when there's just those constant threats, just like when he spoke at it in 2016, before, when he was campaigning, he already had the Secret Service then, because there were already more death threats like than about ever. And I mean, so yeah, of course they're not going to just like, it's like canned hunting, like you cage a lion, and then of course, I mean, you can shoot it easily. Of course they're not just going to have an open target there, so they're banned just for that spot. And they have places you can even leave them outside, since they're able to be carried everywhere, so you can check them in lockers, and they have a system and all that. Since it's such a big place, they know people are already gonna have theirs in. And So anyway, it's not anything about not having guns in the whole place. And so there's that. And then of course Antifa, they're planning this protest on Saturday. They say they're gonna protest all the violence that's taking place inside. And it's so ironic. They're the ones, I mean, they show up with axes and all this kind of stuff. They break glass, and they're just a strange, I mean, the tolerant group. It's very violent. And then so these reporters, these InfoWars reporters, they're gonna film that then, and they're gonna have a counter protest also. And so that'll be neat to check out, that counter protest side. I've seen some of those ones, and then they have that at one side going nuts and like chanting these like lines that they're fed, and they keep repeating them. And then on the other side there's always these like red MAGA hats, and so that's interesting. They're protesting that, and guns, and all kinds of stuff. The usual. It always turns into be the same thing. Just like when there's student protests, it always turns into be just people wearing pink hats, and it's all the same. I think they just want to get out there and do it. And but they're apparently having another walkout in school on the 2nd. I guess tomorrow they're having that, but for the pro guns. And so that hasn't gotten picked up all that much, but apparently they're having that, I guess, nationwide, the same idea, the walkout, and it won't be as popular, but at least there's some kind of pushback against these other people. And so it's like with anything else, news happens fast these days. News that could take a month now takes about an hour, forever changing and such. And so that's something also new that just took place. So we'll see how that goes.